Hello and welcome to the Daily Comic and Collectible, episode 494. Now today, the collectible of the day is the Hasbro Toys Marvel Legends series, X-Men line, Juggernaut Build-A-Figure Wave, Kitty Pryde action figure. With her ability to elude attacks by making herself intangible, Catherine Kitty Pryde is an expert of defense. This 6-inch Kitty Pryde figure is highly articulated for advanced posing and play, and features the comic book-inspired design. Hand-painted with intricate design and deco, figure includes 2 accessories and a Juggernaut Build-A-Figure piece. Collect the entire set to create your own Juggernaut action figure. Box includes Kitty Pryde action figure, her pet dragon, Lockheed. Although this set comes with purple Lockheed, mine is displayed with the Lockheed that came with the Walgreens exclusive Magic figure. Also comes with bonus head helmet for the previously released Onslaught Build-A-Figure Wave. Use this helmet to complete your Onslaught Build-A-Figure action figure. Released in 2016, by Hasbro Toys. Now, the comic of the day is X-Men, Volume 1, Issue number 141, with a cover date of January 1981. This is part 1 of the Days of Future Past arc, and story by Chris Claremont and John Byrne, art by John Byrne, and cover by John Byrne. This story is titled, Days of Future Past. We open in the 21st century. New York City has become a nightmarish environment run by mutant-discriminating sentinels. Kate Pryde, a mutant slave, is out on what is supposed to be a medical run when she's attacked by the Rogue Pack, human scavengers who hate mutants. She's rescued by Wolverine, who is now part of the Canadian Resistance Army against the Sentinels. He's come to warn Kate that there are plans to launch a full-scale nuclear assault on America if the Sentinels are not stopped. Understanding this, Kate hopes their gamble works and is given the last component of a device she has slowly been smuggling into the concentration camp that has doubled as her home for most of her adult life. When she returns to the South Bronx concentration camp where she lives, she makes it through a Sentinel security sweep and walks past the cemetery of dead heroes and mutants all slaughtered for trying to stop the Sentinel invasion. She meets up with her husband, Colossus, and the last surviving members of the X-Men, Storm, Rachel Summers, Franklin Richards, and Magneto, who is now crippled and relies on a wheelchair to get around. In their private quarters, the last of the X-Men put together the last component of a device that will jam the power dampeners that prevents them from using their powers. With her mutant abilities available to her, Rachel would then use her vast telepathic powers to send Kate's consciousness back in time. The date is October 30th, 1980, and the X-Men are in yet another training session in the Danger Room. Their newest member, Sprite, walks in, unaware that the session is in full swing. Realizing the inexperienced X-Man is now in the room, the other X-Men break their concentration to save Kitty from harm before Nightcrawler can teleport to the emergency shutoff switch. After Kitty is scolded for entering the Danger Room when a training session was in progress, Nightcrawler tries to lighten the mood. Kitty instinctively flinches in fear. When the X-Men go up to the control room to prepare for Kitty's first Danger Room session, Nightcrawler admits that seeing Kitty flinch like that hurts, but he's confident that the girl will soon warm up to him. Soon, Kitty's session begins. She concentrates enough to activate her phasing powers and walks through the obstacle course with her eyes closed. None of the traps that Xavier had set up to try and stop her from getting to the other side of the Danger Room seems to stop her, which causes the X-Men to burst with laughter at the fact that Kitty is easily walking through an obstacle course crafted by the professor himself. However, when Kitty goes to exit the room, she's struck by some strange force and collapses. When they rush her to the infirmary, they scan her brain for a mental attack and find that her brain patterns have changed, having become more complex. When Kitty wakes up, she surprises Nightcrawler by hugging him, and is happy to see him and the other X-Men all alive. Kitty, or Kate, as she begins to refer to herself, shocks them all with this revelation. She's really the mind of an older self from 30 years in the future. She explains that she's come back in time to prevent Mystique's Brotherhood of Evil Mutants from murdering U.S. Senator Robert Kelly, Professor Xavier, and Moira McTaggart during a hearing on the potential dangers of mutants. Their murders will bring about the apocalyptic future in which she lives in. Although the X-Men, except for Wolverine, are not so quick to fully believe the story, they decide to go and check on the professor anyway. Aboard one of Warren Worthington's aircrafts, they fly towards Washington, D.C. Along the way, Kate tells them how these assassinations would increase anti-mutant hysteria, and by 1984, an anti-mutant president would be voted into the White House who would pass the Mutant Control Act. Soon, almost every mutant and superhuman in North America would be wiped out by the Sentinels. The robots were meant to protect humanity. However, they would soon enslave the entire United States. She explains how her friends in the future had sent her mind back to her younger body, as she would have been the only one who hadn't been prepared with psychic defenses by Professor X at that point. She also tells them that the surviving X-Men in the future were also planning on shutting down the Sentinels' operations in North America in order to avoid nuclear war in case she failed her mission in the past. Back in the year 2013, Rachel, Franklin, and Peter managed to escape from the concentration camp thanks to Magneto sacrificing his life so that they could escape. Carrying Kate's unconscious body, they meet up with Wolverine, who leads them through the sewers in the hopes of reaching the Baxter Building, where the Sentinels have set up their primary operations since taking over America. As they move through the tunnels, the Sentinels rip through the ceiling above to get them. Their first blast kills Franklin, incinerating his body. The remaining X-Men fight back and, despite their ages, manage to defeat all the Sentinels facing them before continuing on their trek to the Fantastic Four's old headquarters. Meanwhile, back in the present, at the Pentagon, Raven Darkholme enters her private office and reverts back to her natural form, that of Mystique, the mutant terrorist. She's gathered the mutants Destiny, Blob, Pyro, and Avalanche into a new brotherhood of evil mutants for the purpose of assassinating Senator Kelly. When checking with Destiny's precognitive powers, Destiny informs her that some unknown factor makes the future hard for her to read. Despite this, and despite the fighting between Blob, Pyro, and Avalanche, they move on to enact their plans. Later, at the United States Senate, the hearing over mutants is in full order, and Senator Kelly is questioning Moira McTaggart when the X-Men arrive in their civilian guises. When the professor telepathically asks them what's going on, Storm imparts the information that she gathered from Kate. Just then, the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants smashes through the wall, but before they can attack Kelly and the others, the X-Men change into their costumes and step in the way to stop them. This story is continued in the Uncanny X-Men, issue number 142. Geek Fact: this is considered a major key, being the first appearance of the Days of Future Past story arc. First team appearance of the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, Mystique, Destiny, Pyro, Avalanche, and Blob, the first appearance of Destiny, first appearance of Avalanche, first appearance of Pyro, and the first appearance of Rachel Summers, daughter of Scott Summers, Cyclops, and Jean Grey, Marvel Girl. It's also the first appearance of Omega-class Sentinels, and of Earth 811, and the alternate Earth characters, plus the first appearance of mutant internment camps, and mutant inhibitor collars. Bonus Geek Fact: this story arc originally happened in 1980, the present, and future events were happening in 2013. Another Bonus Geek Fact: this issue marks the first time Magneto is called Magnus. Advertising ad facts.
New Lego Expert Builder Series. We challenge you. Choose your challenge: auto chassis, bulldozer, farm tractor, mobile crane, forklift, or go-kart. Plus 2 brand new sets, motorcycle, and auto engines. You build them from scratch with gears, pistons, and universal joints that really work. They move and maneuver like the real thing. Each set includes other models too. You can get a spare parts set and even a power pack to motorize your models. And now there's an expert builder idea book and lots of plans for fabulous models to build. Ready for a challenge? You're ready for the Lego Expert Builder Series. You've got to build them to believe them. Only from Lego.
The world's most misunderstood superheroine.
Don't ask me why.
In her own monthly comic magazine, Spider-Woman. By Claremont, Lealoa, and Patterson. On sale now.
And final geek fact. A mutant, Pride possesses a phasing ability that allows her to become intangible. The power also disrupts any electrical field that passes through and lets her simulate levitation. The youngest to join the X-Men, she was first portrayed as a kid sister to many older members of the group, filling the role of itinerary foil to the more established characters. She occasionally used the code names Sprite and Ariel, cycling through several uniforms until settling for her trademark black and gold costume. During the miniseries Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, she was renamed Shadowcat, the alias she would most associate with, and shifted to the more mature depiction in her subsequent appearances. Pryde would eventually abandon her nickname Kitty and switch to Kate. She was one of the main cast of characters depicted in the original Excalibur title. After momentarily joining the Guardians of the Galaxy, she assumed her then-fiancé's superhero identity as the Star-Lord, Star-Lady. In the series Marauders, she was informally known as Captain Kate Pryde and the Red Queen of the Hellfire Trading Company. After rejoining the X-Men in the Fall of X relaunch, she assumed the name Shadowcat. Kitty Pryde has been described as one of Marvel's most notable and powerful female heroes. Well, I'd like to thank you for joining me for another Daily Comic and Collectible, and I hope to see you again tomorrow. This is Cat Fan Comics Man, and I'll catch you on the flip. Over and out.